What if I told you that in 2026, a single normal drive in California could silently cost you more than a month's rent, without flashing lights, without a police stop, without you even realizing you broke a law? New data shows that millions of drivers are being fined automatically through cameras, sensors, and digital records, and most of them only find out weeks later when the bill arrives. No warning, no second chance, just a number on a screen, and it keeps growing. Here's the shocking part. Many of these penalties don't come from reckless driving. They come from small, everyday habits: slowing down too late, touching your phone for 1 second, drifting slightly in a lane, or driving the same way you've driven for years. Old habits are becoming expensive mistakes, and the rules have changed faster than most people realize. So the real question is this: which of these new laws are you already breaking without knowing it? Stay with me, because the next few minutes could save you thousands of dollars, protect your license, and stop you from becoming another statistic hiding in the system. Number 1. Automated enforcement is watching you everywhere. In 2026, driving in California no longer depends on whether a police officer sees you. It depends on whether the system detects you. Automated enforcement has expanded quietly but aggressively. Speed cameras, red light cameras, lane monitoring sensors, and AI-powered traffic systems now track movement 24/7. According to traffic safety studies, automation increases compliance, but it also increases penalties issued without human judgment. That means no verbal warning, no discretion, and no "I didn't realize." If the system flags your action, the fine is generated automatically. What makes this more dangerous is how normal behavior now triggers violations. Rolling through a right turn a little too fast, entering an intersection just as the light shifts, driving in a lane that temporarily changes status during peak hours. These systems are designed to detect patterns, not intentions. Research shows automated enforcement reduces accidents, but it also dramatically increases repeat fines because drivers often don't know which behavior triggered the violation. By the time the notice arrives, the moment is long gone, and so is your chance to correct it. The smartest move in 2026 is awareness, not reaction. Drivers need to understand where automated zones are most common: high-traffic intersections, school areas, construction corridors, and congestion pricing routes. The best practical advice is simple but powerful. Slow earlier than you think. Pause fully at intersections, and assume cameras are active even when you don't see them. Automated enforcement doesn't care how safe you feel your driving is. It only cares about data points. And if you don't adapt, those data points can quietly turn into hundreds or thousands of dollars in fines before you realize what's happening. Number 2. Speed limits are no longer fixed, they change without warning. One of the biggest shocks for drivers in 2026 is that speed limits in California are no longer static numbers on a sign. They now change dynamically based on traffic flow, weather conditions, construction zones, school hours, and accident risk data. Transportation research shows that variable speed limits can reduce collisions, but the unintended consequence is that drivers often don't realize the limit is changed until after they've been fined. What felt legal a few minutes ago can suddenly become a costly violation. The real danger comes from how these limits are enforced. Digital signs, GPS-linked systems, and enforcement cameras are synchronized. When the speed changes, the system updates instantly, but human reaction doesn't. Studies on driver behavior show that most people take several seconds or even minutes to adjust speed when conditions appear normal. That delay is now enough to trigger automatic penalties, especially on highways, express lanes, and congestion-managed routes. Even experienced drivers who go with the flow can be caught off guard because the flow itself may already be over the limit. To protect yourself, you have to drive with a new mindset. Instead of memorizing speed limits, you must continuously monitor them. Pay close attention to electronic signage, especially during early mornings, late evenings, and rush hours when limits are most likely to change. In practical terms, the safest habit is to drive slightly below posted digital limits, not right at the edge. In 2026, speed is no longer just about how fast you're going, it's about how quickly you notice change. Miss that change, even briefly, and what felt like a normal commute can quietly turn into a fine that costs hundreds of dollars, or worse, repeated violations that follow you for years. Number 3. Phone use laws are stricter. Even hands-free can cost you. In 2026, phone use behind the wheel in California is no longer judged by what's in your hands, but by where your attention goes. New enforcement rules focus on driver distraction, not just physical phone handling. Research on road safety shows that even brief cognitive distraction, looking at a screen, issuing voice commands, or interacting with apps, can reduce reaction time as much as alcohol impairment. Because of this, enforcement systems now flag behaviors that were previously considered safe or legal. Here's what catches most drivers off guard. Hands-free does not mean risk-free anymore. Using voice assistants, tapping a mounted phone to change music, or even glancing at navigation during complex traffic moments can trigger violations when paired with erratic speed, delayed braking, or lane drift. AI-supported monitoring systems analyze movement patterns, not just the presence of a phone. Studies show these systems are designed to detect when attention shifts away from the road, even for a few seconds. And in 2026, a few seconds is all it takes. The smartest defense is building intentional driving habits. Set navigation, playlists, and calls before you start driving. If something needs adjusting, pull over completely. Don't rely on voice commands during dense traffic. Keep your phone mounted low and out of direct sight lines, and avoid interacting with it at intersections where monitoring is most intense. In this new system, enforcement doesn't ask whether you felt in control. It measures how your car behaved. And if your driving data suggests distraction, the result can be automatic fines, insurance penalties, and repeat violations that cost far more than just one ticket. Number 4. Insurance penalties now hurt more than the ticket itself. In 2026, a driving violation in California doesn't end when you pay the fine. In many cases, the real damage begins afterward, when your insurance company updates your risk profile. New data sharing systems allow insurers to receive violation records faster and more detailed than ever before. Traffic safety and actuarial studies show that insurers now weigh behavior patterns, not just single incidents. That means even a minor violation can trigger long-term financial consequences that quietly drain your budget. What surprises most drivers is how quickly insurance penalties stack up. A small automated ticket, something you might have brushed off in the past, can raise your premiums for years, not months. Research in risk modeling shows that repeat low-level violations signal future accident risk more strongly than one major offense. As a result, insurers respond aggressively. One mistake leads to a rate increase, 2 mistakes can remove discounts, 3 can push you into a high-risk category where coverage becomes both expensive and limited. The practical takeaway is simple but urgent. Avoiding the violation matters more than paying the fine. Drivers should regularly review their driving records, understand which violations insurers flag most harshly, and treat every ticket as a serious financial event, not a one-time annoyance. Defensive driving courses, clean record periods, and cautious habits now play a bigger role in protecting your wallet. In 2026, the ticket might be a few $100s, but the insurance impact can quietly cost thousands over time. And because these increases happen in the background, many drivers don't notice until renewal time, when it's already too late to undo the damage. Number 5. Medical and age-related driving reviews are expanding. In 2026, driving eligibility in California is no longer based only on how well you drive. It's increasingly tied to health data and age-related assessments. New safety research shows that reaction time, vision clarity, and cognitive processing change gradually, often without drivers noticing. Because of this, authorities have expanded medical review triggers, meaning certain conditions, medications, or age thresholds can now quietly flag your license for reassessment. Many drivers are shocked to learn they're under review without ever being pulled over. What makes this system risky is how easily it can be activated. A routine doctor visit, a medication update, or an insurance form can initiate a review process. Studies on traffic safety suggest early screening reduces accidents, but it also creates unexpected consequences for drivers who feel perfectly capable behind the wheel. Once flagged, drivers may be required to submit medical clearance, complete additional testing, or face temporary restrictions. Missing deadlines or misunderstanding notices can lead to automatic suspension, even if no accident ever occurred. The most important protection is preparation and awareness. Drivers, especially older adults or those managing medical conditions, should keep clear records, understand which medications affect driving status, and respond immediately to any official notice. Scheduling vision and reaction tests proactively can help avoid last-minute pressure. In 2026, this isn't about taking licenses away, it's about data-driven caution. But when systems rely on paperwork and timelines, even responsible drivers can get caught off guard. Ignoring this shift can mean losing driving privileges temporarily or permanently, along with higher insurance costs and daily life disruptions that are far more expensive than any traffic ticket. Before you go, don't stay silent. Drop a comment telling us which law shocked you the most, or if you've already been affected by any of these changes. We spend countless hours researching and breaking these rules down so you don't pay the price unknowingly, and your support truly matters. If this video helped you even a little, hit subscribe. It's just one click, and stay protected with every update ahead. Number 6. Electric vehicle rules are stricter. By 2026, electric vehicles are no longer treated as a special category in California. As EV adoption has surged, regulators have introduced stricter rules specifically tailored to electric cars, and many drivers are unaware they exist. Safety and infrastructure studies show that EVs behave differently in crashes, charging situations, and emergency responses. Because of this, new compliance standards now apply, and violating them can lead to heavy fines and insurance penalties. One of the biggest surprises for EV drivers involves charging and parking regulations. Improper use of public charging stations, blocking access, or leaving vehicles connected beyond allowed times can now trigger automated fines. In addition, research into battery-related incidents has led to stricter rules around damaged EVs. Driving an electric vehicle after certain warning alerts, ignoring system fault notifications, or failing to report battery damage after minor collisions can result in violations, even if the car still seems drivable. These rules are designed for safety, but they catch many drivers off guard. The smartest approach is to treat your EV like a data-driven machine, not just a car. Pay attention to system alerts, charging instructions, and post-accident procedures. Know the difference between a cosmetic issue and a reportable battery concern. When parking or charging, assume monitoring is active and time limits are enforced. In 2026, EV ownership comes with benefits, but also new responsibilities. Ignoring them doesn't just risk a ticket, it can lead to denied insurance claims, higher premiums, or fines that cost thousands of dollars over time. Number 7. Lane and intersection rules have quietly changed. In 2026, many drivers in California are breaking the law without realizing it, simply because lane and intersection rules have been redefined. Transportation safety studies show that intersections are the most common sites for serious accidents, which is why regulators have tightened definitions around lane usage, turns, and right-of-way. What used to be considered a judgment call is now clearly categorized as a violation, and automated systems are enforcing it consistently. One of the most common mistakes involves lane drifting in late merges. In congested areas, drivers often shift lanes at the last second to avoid traffic. New rules classify certain late merges and lane crossings as unsafe maneuvers, especially near intersections, bike lanes, and bus-only corridors. Research shows these movements increase collision risk, so enforcement cameras and sensors now monitor how and when you change lanes, not just whether you used a signal. A single poorly timed merge can now result in an automatic citation. The safest habit in 2026 is early decision-making. Choose your lane well before an intersection. Avoid crossing solid lines even briefly, and treat bike and bus lanes as strictly off-limits unless clearly permitted. When turning, come to a complete stop and follow lane markings precisely. Rolling turns and wide arcs are increasingly penalized. These rules aren't about driving slower, they're about driving predictably. And in a system that values predictability, even small deviations can quickly add up to fines, insurance penalties, and repeat violations that cost far more than drivers expect. Number 8. Your driving record is now digital. In 2026, driving in California leaves a permanent digital footprint. Traffic violations are no longer isolated events stored in a local database. They are part of a connected, statewide system that updates in real time. Transportation and behavioral studies show that digital tracking improves enforcement accuracy, but it also means mistakes are harder to escape. Once a violation is logged, it doesn't quietly fade away. It becomes part of your long-term driving profile. What many drivers don't realize is how widely this data is shared. Insurance companies, licensing authorities, and in some cases employers who require driving records can access updated information faster than ever. Research into driver monitoring systems shows that patterns matter more than single incidents. A series of small violations, each one seemingly minor, can signal high-risk behavior when viewed together. This can lead to stricter oversight, mandatory courses, or higher premiums, even if you've never caused an accident. The practical reality is that every drive now counts. There is no such thing as an invisible mistake anymore. Drivers should regularly review their driving records, respond quickly to any notice, and treat minor tickets as serious signals, not paperwork to ignore. Maintaining clean stretches of driving has become essential because digital systems reward consistency and penalize repetition. In 2026, your record doesn't just reflect how you drove yesterday, it influences how you're treated tomorrow. And once your data labels you as a risk, reversing that label can take years of careful driving and thousands of dollars in added costs. Number 9. Fines are now based on behavior patterns, not just one mistake. In 2026, traffic penalties in California are no longer judged in isolation. Instead of looking at a single violation, enforcement systems now analyze behavior patterns over time. Traffic safety research shows that repeated minor offenses are stronger predictors of serious accidents than one major error. Because of this, authorities have redesigned fine structures so that how often you break the rules matters just as much as what rule you break. This shift catches many drivers off guard. A first violation may seem manageable, but a second or third similar infraction can trigger escalating penalties. Automated systems flag repeat behaviors, such as slight speeding, frequent lane violations, or repeated distraction-related indicators. Studies on behavioral analytics show that when patterns emerge, fines increase faster, warnings disappear, and additional requirements, like mandatory courses or monitoring, can be imposed. Drivers often don't realize they've crossed a threshold until the consequences suddenly become severe. The most effective strategy is consistency, not perfection. Avoiding repeat mistakes is far more important than worrying about rare errors. If you receive a citation, treat it as a warning sign to adjust habits immediately. Slow down in familiar areas, reduce distractions even further, and avoid borderline behaviors that you've always gotten away with. In 2026, systems don't forget trends, they learn from them. And once your driving pattern is labeled risky, fines, insurance costs, and oversight can escalate quickly. turning small, repeated habits into thousands of dollars in long-term penalties. Number 10. Fighting a ticket is harder and costlier than ever. In 2026, challenging a traffic ticket in California is no longer as simple as showing up and telling your side of the story. Enforcement has shifted toward data-driven evidence, relying on cameras, sensors, timestamps, and vehicle telemetry. Legal and traffic studies show that automated systems have higher accuracy rates than human observation, which means authorities now place greater trust in digital records. As a result, many appeals fail before they even reach a hearing. What surprises drivers most is the burden of proof. Instead of the system needing to prove you were wrong, drivers often must prove the system was wrong. That can require technical documentation, expert opinions, or detailed logs, resources most people don't have. Research into automated enforcement disputes shows that appeals can take months and cost more in legal fees and lost time than the original fine itself. For smaller violations, many drivers simply give up, even when they believe they're right. The smartest move in 2026 is prevention over confrontation. Understanding the rules, adapting habits, and avoiding borderline behavior saves far more money than trying to fight tickets later. If you do plan to appeal, act quickly, gather evidence immediately, and weigh the real cost, not just in dollars, but in time and stress. The system is built for efficiency, not debate. And in that system, the easiest ticket to win is the one you never receive. By now, one thing should be clear. Driving in California in 2026 is no longer just about skill. It's about awareness, adaptation, and timing. The rules haven't changed to punish drivers randomly. They've changed because roads are now monitored by systems that never blink, never forget, and never give warnings. Small habits that once felt harmless can now quietly turn into serious financial consequences, often without any immediate sign that you did something wrong. What makes this shift dangerous is not reckless driving, it's routine driving. The same commute, the same shortcuts, the same habits you've trusted for years. In a data-driven system, familiarity can work against you. One missed update, one distracted moment, or one repeated habit can set off a chain reaction of fines, insurance increases, record flags, and long-term costs that add up to thousands of dollars. And once that process starts, reversing it is slow, stressful, and expensive. The good news is this: knowledge is still your strongest defense. Drivers who stay informed, adjust early, and treat every drive with intention are far less likely to be caught off guard. Slowing down a little more, planning ahead, and respecting digital enforcement zones isn't about fear, it's about staying in control in a system designed around data, not discretion. Before you click away, ask yourself this: which of these rules were you unknowingly breaking already? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience could help someone else avoid a costly mistake. If this video helped you understand what's really changing in 2026, support the channel by liking and subscribing. We put real effort into breaking down complex rules into simple, useful guidance, and your support helps us keep doing it.